Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome to Old Iron Garage. So tonight we're going to be working on yet another 5 horsepower Briggs and Stratton engine. This one's a little different than the last one though. Let's dive in and we'll take a look at it. Alright folks, here it is. So, as you can see, it is missing some parts. That's why I said it's different from the last one. Let's just go ahead and take a look at it. The recoil clutch seems to be functional. It is, it had these parts with it, but that's it. The kill switch that goes on top, and a recoil cover. That's all that it had with it when I got this engine. So, what all's missing? Looks like the coil is missing. And I don't see a wire coming out of the points cover, but you can see that it does have a points cover, so this was a points and condenser engine. So let's keep looking. No spark plug. I will be taking the head off to take a look at the cylinder, see if it's badly scored or anything, and also to clean out any debris. Keep looking. We have this on here. I'm going to be removing that. This heat shield is there. That heat shield that was missing from the last 5 horse Briggs is there. Let's turn around this side. We got a lot of stuff missing over here. We have the muffler is missing. Carburetor, fuel tank. There's a linkage rod that's supposed to go from here up to the carburetor. That's missing. And the intake, or no, the breather tube and boot is missing. So how am I going to get this running? Well, I have a large stash of used small engine parts. Some new, a lot of them used. So I went digging. What did I find? I found fuel tank and carburetor. This is a larger 5 horse Briggs fuel tank. Missing the fuel cap, but look inside the tank. It's clean. There's a little bit of debris down there. I'm gonna have to blow that out. See if I can. There. That's as clean as it gets for for used. So I have the carburetor, the fuel tank, the intake tube, and the intake tube boot. Looks like we are missing one screw. I'm also going to need an air filter housing. Found a fuel cap. Some ignition parts. There's a coil. There's a condenser, points, spring. I'm going to need the hardware to put this on, though. So that's another part I'm going to have to go find. So the hardware for the... Well, that might be in there. I don't know. I guess I'll have to take the flywheel off and the points cover off and take a look. But as far as I know, I don't have the hardware for the points, the condenser, or the coil. I also don't have an air filter or air filter cover and the bolt to put it on. And, and that linkage. I'm going to have to go find those pieces. That carburetor is missing this little linkage piece. And this piece that connects the governor that comes up to here to the carburetor, which this linkage piece goes from here to the throttle. I have the bolt that goes with that. Let's put these over here. And I have a new old stock muffler, the bolt-on variety. And I sourced a couple of bolts. These two are a little bit short. They should thread in about 1/4 inch, but they are the correct diameter and thread, so these will work temporarily until I can source some longer ones. If need be, Once I see if this is a good running engine, I will go to the hardware store and buy 2 little bit longer bolts, something that'll thread in about a 1/2 inch at least. So, yeah. Before I even bother going to look for the rest of the parts, I'm going to just dive into that. I'm going to take the head off, take a look, blow out the cylinder if there's any debris in there, lube up the cylinder, and go from there. One thing that I forgot to show you, I've already taken a look at it, but... Oh, and I also need to source a spark plug. There is very little oil in this engine, so once I take off the head and evaluate or assess the condition of the cylinder, if I feel like this engine is worth repairing, I will put some good but used motor oil in there. It's just some straight 30 weight oil from small engine oil changes that I've done, that I've kept. I kept the waste oil so that I could, well, put it in engines like this. I don't know if this engine's any good, and I don't want to put fresh, clean oil in it. Because that seems like it would be wasteful if the engine is no good. So I've saved it for that. Anyways, so let's get you guys up in the camera holder, and we will take a look at this engine. All right, so first things first, just to get it out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and remove this. And that will end up going into my spare parts. Hopefully this don't put up too much of a fight. Okay. Let's get a bigger one. All right, that did the trick. Like I said, this is just going to go into my spare parts. Don't know that I'll ever need it, but if I ever need one of these, I'll have one. So that's off. Let's zip these head bolts out. Take a look in the cylinder. We'll try the impact, see if that'll break them loose. Get off of there. Of course, how it'll be harder is by the exhaust. Alright, we do still have a head gasket in here, but just looking at, just looking in here, I feel like this engine is going to be an oil burner. There is quite the deposit of built up carbon there and here. You can see some just flaking off. Head gasket looks to be like, it's possible it could have had a leak. There's a dark area here. That would be around the corner of the exhaust exhaust valve. Let's take a look in this cylinder. I'm a little worried that it may be scored up. It may be scored up. Yeah, I see some lines in it, just kind of here and there all the way around. Nothing looks to be too severe, but at the same time, it does not really look great by any means. I can just barely catch a fingernail on them. Let's, before I bother turning this, before I bother moving it at all, I'm going to bring an air gun in here and blow this out. Actually, I'm going to take the engine out there and blow it out. I will bring you guys right back in a minute. Alright, I'm back. This engine cylinder looks like it may have had water sitting in it at some point. I mean, it's not rusted because it's an aluminum bore, but you can see like staining marks from where it may have possibly had water sitting in it. But if you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you know me, I'm a sucker for saving things that probably shouldn't be saved. So I'm just going to rotate this around, let that penetrating oil work its way in to everything, into the piston rings, lubricate up the piston, the cylinder, the rings. I'm also going to put a little bit on the valve stems. Yeah, I'm just going to work this around for a little while. Turns nice and free. I mean, it definitely wasn't stuck or anything. There's no resistance anywhere. With that penetrating oil, I'm getting some gurgling coming up between the piston and the cylinder wall at one spot. Alright, that should do. The valves do not seem to be stretched. If they are, that's not much, because when it's fully seated, I can't put my thumb on it and turn it, so that's a good sign. What do the valve seats look like? The valve seats look okay-ish. I guess if I have a problem with compression, I will lap them in. I don't see any excessive movement in the valves. That's a good sign. So now that I've worked that in real good, I'm going to wipe out the cylinder and actually, hang on. I'm going to clean everything up here first. So when I'm working here with a rag, I don't introduce any dirt or grit or anything carbon down into the cylinder. I got the piston all the way up right now, so it'll be easy to wipe out anything I break loose. Alright, let's wipe her down. That piston, the top of the piston cleaned up nicely. And I'm actually going to go ahead and, oh yeah, it does look like maybe I had a bad head gasket. Hang on. This is just like a brass bristled brush. It's nothing that's going to hurt the gasket surface. It does look like maybe I had a bad head gasket, like the head gasket was leaking. I'm going to bring you in close and show you. We're looking right here. See that? That's about the same spot I was talking about on the head gasket itself. So I'll have to clean that up. Anyways, I'm going to take the engine back out and move the piston down and blow out any debris that I introduced down into here while wire brushing. Alright, so I blew out the cylinder, I wiped it out, and let's look at the cylinder wall. Hold on. There, turn my light on. You see all the scratches, you see the staining on the cylinder walls. I can't really feel any of the staining. I can't even really feel a ridge at the top or anything like that. So I think that's all. I don't think the staining is going to hurt anything. I can just barely feel those grooves with my fingernail. The other side looks about the same, really. But, you see that? I even got the oil fill cap cracked open. That's weird. Anyway, alright, so I'm going to get you guys mounted back up on my camera holder, and we will dive in. Keep working on it. Alright, I'm back. So I went and did some more searching, and I found a new old stock air filter that is not quite the right one, but is close enough that it will work. If need be, I can do a little trimming. I found an air filter housing. The complete assembly. Needs a little cleaning. So yeah, complete assembly. I could not find a screw for the air filter housing that was correct, so I found a longer one from a vertical shaft 3-horse Briggs, and I trimmed it to length, cleaned up the end so it will thread in. Found a good used spark plug. I'm going to clean it and gap it and test it, make sure it works. I found some miscellaneous hardware that is missing from the engine. 2 bolts for the carburetor where it bolts up to the block. Going along with that, I need an intake gasket. So I found an intake gasket. 3 bolts for the flywheel cover. 1 bolt for the lower fuel tank bracket. And 2 bolts for the magneto. The one thing I've not been able to find so far, I have a few of them, but they are on engines that are complete or nearly complete, is the governor linkage that goes from the governor arm here up to the carburetor. I don't have one to spare, so I'm going to check with my dad. He's got a bunch of small engine parts as well, and see what he has. I'm sure that he has one to spare. If not, I guess I'll probably rob one off of my non-running engines, I guess, for now, if this engine runs well. Anyways, let's get you guys up where you can see what I'm doing, and let's continue. Oh, I did put the head back on for now. I didn't have a spark plug at the time, or I would have put it in, but I did get the head put back on for now, just to keep any debris out, or dust or anything, dirt, anything really out of the cylinder. Okay, so I'm going to start on the carburetor and fuel tank. So as I was moving this over here and getting ready to start recording, I realized I was still missing a screw right here that mounts the carburetor to the fuel tank. So I went and got one, went and found one. It's the correct OEM screw. Here, let's get another magnet tray. Come on now. So let's start disassembling. Now remember, this fuel tank is pretty clean inside. I'm still gonna, after I get the carburetor off, I'm gonna give it a little bit more of an inspection. But I'm gonna look in the other holes and see what I can see. But this carburetor, or this fuel tank, shouldn't really need much cleaning. Probably more on the outside than anything. There is a little debris in there, but I can get that out just by using the air gun. Oh. That's interesting. I've never seen that before. Let me bring you guys down here and show you what I just found. So I went to loosen this carburetor on the fuel tank and lift it off. Look closely. It is broken. You see the broken piece? We're looking right here. There's a crack right there. See? Well, I guess I'm going to be looking for another carburetor now. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and get you guys put back up on the camera holder, and I will decide what to do from there. Okay, so I came up with a temporary solution to the broken carburetor base. You can see it broken right there. So just until I know this engine is any good or not, if it's even worth going and scrounging up another carburetor, I'm going to go ahead and proceed with this carburetor. And once I see the engine is a good running engine, if it is, I will go search through my used carburetors. I have boxes of them, and I will find a suitable replacement. So for now, what am I going to do? Well, first off, I'm going to use the same former gasket, Permatex fuel-rated sealant underneath this carburetor, between the carburetor and the fuel tank, to help it seal up good. But I also made this little tab that will bolt on here. And it'll go in and push on the carburetor base down there on the other side of the crack. See, it's got a bend. It'll bend downward. Yeah, it'll bend downward. As I tighten that screw, it'll push harder and harder on the other side of the crack over there on the carburetor base to help clamp it down. Anyways, let's move on. Alright, so I'm going to take a little bit deeper look into this tank. It really just looks like it just needs blown out. All I see is a little pile of debris. Almost no rust. The only bit of rust is up here in this little bowl inside the top of the tank. And it's such little surface rust, it's nothing to worry about. The rest is just a little bit of loose dirt on the inside. The dirtiest part about this is the outside here, which I will take a plastic scraper to and scrape off what I can. And this will get cleaned up off camera because it's kind of tedious. So I'm gonna set that aside. Let's dive into this carburetor. Nope, come on now, give me that. I wonder if that's the reason this carburetor was retired, or if it was like that and they didn't know. Even, I mean, there was a screw missing out of it, which would indicate that the carburetor has likely been off, or they could have just robbed a screw from it for another engine. It's hard to say. That could have just somehow happened while, I don't know, the engine's running, the vibration of the engine. I have no idea. I've never seen that before in my life. This diaphragm, oh, this is probably one of the most rock-hard diaphragms I've ever seen. I don't see any light through it, so it would be good if it was not hard. But listen to this. You hear that? That is very rock hard. It is not flexible. It is not pliable. The spring in here has been compressed. So this stuff is no good. Yeah. So it's going to get a diaphragm kit. Since this carb needs replaced anyways, like I said, I am going to reuse this gasket. I'm going to be putting some of this. This is the stuff. This Permatex. Where does it say that? It says Permatex back here where it's rolled up. You can't see it, but it's Permatex. Number 2, non-hardening Forma gasket sealant. The stuff works great. It is fuel rated. Great stuff. So, yeah, I guess that's stuck. Can't turn it out by hand. There we go. Let's go ahead and get her apart. Doesn't take much to get one of these apart. These are very simple carburetors, very easy to work on. Needle looks clean. There's a seal in here. I'll make sure it stays there. Come on. Come off of there. Actually, you know what? Let's just find a wrench. 1/2 inch. Don't see anything wrong with that. Now we have to get this little jet out of here, which I know I still have to clean the carburetor, but anytime I'm using a screwdriver or a tool going inside of a carburetor or near an opening, or near a port, I always make sure that the business end of the screwdriver or tool is clean, so as not to introduce any more dirt or debris or anything, any foreign objects into the carburetor. The jet is nice and clear. You can see through it. Behind the jet looks to be clean. This carburetor looks to be pretty clean inside. That's good. So it's a simple spray it out, put it back together carb cleaning. The choke moves as it should. Yeah. All right. So, one thing I need to do is I need to check this diaphragm cover to see if it is warped. And if it is, I need to correct that. Nope. As you can see, the sandpaper, you can see by where it's shiny, the sandpaper is hitting the entire sealing surface. So I'm just going to take it at the sandpaper a little bit more just to finish kind of cleaning it up. And then this will be ready to clean off with some Carb Clean and go back on. That honestly was kind of overkill, probably, but hey, better be safe than sorry. And that sealing surface is good to go. So I'm going to set that there. I'm not even going to mess with this sealing surface here because that is as clean as a whistle. That came off nice and clean. This I'm going to check. See if it's warped. So I guess I will need that sandpaper back. I can already tell you it's warped because it rocks. See how it rocks? It means it's warped. Let's see how bad. Very badly. It's only really touching at the very tip up here and the very tip down here. So that's got a pretty bad warp to it. I'm not too concerned about it because, like I said, this carburetor is not going to be staying on here permanently because it is cracked and broken down here. This screw hole in the mounting base is broken off. So I'm going to clean that up and seal it up with some of that form of gasket sealant, and I'm going to send it. Because if this engine runs well, then that'll get replaced anyways, the whole carburetor. Okay, good. Those are clear. They're not like blocked or anything. So I'm gonna pause the video. I'm gonna stop recording, and I'm gonna go spray this clean, and I'm gonna blow out the fuel tank. I'm gonna scrape off the dirt, blow out the fuel tank, and I'll bring you guys back when I am ready to reassemble. All right, y'all, I'm back. So I think I figured out, well, I don't know exactly how that part of the base of the carburetor broke off, but I think it had something to do with the way this engine, or the engine that this carb and gas tank was on, was handled, because cleaning up the fuel tank, I found that is cracked through from here, through these holes, all the way up to there. Same over here, cracked from there all the way to that hole, and then there to there. So as you can see, I have them cleaned up. I wire wheeled them a little bit because I am going to weld them. Probably thinking I'm crazy for welding on a fuel tank. Well, number one, I'm not welding right on the tank. Number two, fuel has not been in this thing forever. I stuck my nose there, I tried to smell. There is no hint of flammable fumes of any kind. It's been a very long time since any kind of fuel has been in this. I could stick a lighter in there and it's not going to go woof. So, yeah. As a matter of fact, just because some of you will still say I'm crazy. See? No fumes. So this is okay to weld on. And that's why I have this plate up here. I have it grounded. I got the area prepped and ready to weld. Got my welder out and ready. That is a titanium Unlimited 200 from Harbor Freight. I absolutely love the thing. It is great for home use. Obviously, wouldn't even think about using it in a factory, 40 plus hours a week. But for what I do here at home, it is enough. It does the job. This welder is dual voltage, so what does that mean? It'll run off of 120 volt or 240 volt. If you're doing any welding any thicker material, any real thick material, you're going to want the 240 volt. It is also a multi-process welder. So what does that mean? Well, it can do MIG, and because it can do MIG, it can do flux core. Any MIG welder can do flux core. So that's basically, instead of using solid wire, you use flux core wire, and you don't use any shielding gas. Which is handy for small projects around home. I do not like flux core, like regular flux core. I've done dual shield, which is a special flux core wire plus a shielding gas, and that welds just fine, but I find regular flux core to be a pain in the butt, so I rarely use it. It is what I will be using today, so don't judge my welds, please. I have little experience with regular flux core, but it will do MIG and flux core. It will do stick, and it will do TIG welding. So yeah, that's what a multi-process welder is. It'll do more than one type of welding. Anyways, let's get set up and let's get going. Let's weld this up. All right, y'all. As you can see, I'm in my welding gear, and I'm going to weld this up. Now, before any of you say anything, I have one fire extinguisher right here, another one right there, and several more outside that door on a shelf. So I've moved anything flammable far enough away that it should not be an issue, but just in case, I am prepared. So anyways, let's dive in. I'm going to need a clamp, something that I can clamp with. Here's a vice grip. That vice grips are used a lot in welding shops. This has clearly spent some time in a welding shop. I can see a bunch of spatter on it. So I'm going to try and close up that crack there. And I'm going to do the same and tack it. I'm going to come over here and do the same thing on that side. Alright. Alright, now, like I said, I have very, very little experience with regular flux core. I've done a lot of welding with dual shield, but regular flux core is totally different. It's not the same. So I'm probably just going to just kind of tack this in. It's not super structural, doesn't need to be super strong, so I'm probably just going to, zap, 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 work my way along. All right, let's get to it. This is usually what I end up doing when I have to use flux core to weld something. One of these days I'll probably take the time to practice a little more with it and get better with it. But right now, the only reason I'm using it is I am out of shielding gas. So, alright, let's get this side done. And I'm probably just going to go ahead and flip her over and do the other side as well. I wasn't planning on doing both sides, so I didn't prep this side. There's some dirt in here. Alright, let's get this finished up. Alright, check for fire, check for smoke. Doesn't look like anything's on fire. That's a plus. But I will say this. Thought I heard something. I'm just making sure that nothing's actually on fire. I will say this, when you are welding 40 plus hours a week, it is normal to, or I would say not uncommon, for things to catch on fire. So, like your clothing, for example. Alright, well, I'm going to get this cleaned up and then we'll take a look at it. Alright, let's take a look at my work. It's not real pretty, but it is strong, it has good penetration. I took the time to, you can see some chisel marks. I chiseled off all the berries, all the spatter, which if you don't know what that is, see if there's any left on the bench. It's these little steel BBs that deposit everywhere, that stick everywhere when you're welding. MIG welding, or especially flux core. Yeah, I chiseled all that off to just clean up the appearance. It's just kind of a thing you're taught to do when you are doing welding for a living. Got most of it off, but it doesn't really matter, you know. But it's just habit. I try to take pride in my work. I'm not real proud of these welds. Or I should just say tacks, really. They're just tack welds. But like I said, I have very little experience of flux core. I only do flux core if I absolutely have to. I don't like it. So, anyways, that's that. Alrighty, I'm going to go ahead and cut it off here because I don't want this video to be too long. And anyways, I feel like we got a decent amount of stuff done up until this point. Between stuff that was on and off camera, there was a lot of time spent just searching for parts because this engine was pretty incomplete. And then, you know, there was a couple surprises that needed to be addressed. I'm hoping there's no more surprises on this engine. But anyways, yeah, I'm happy with the direction this is going, and from here moving forward, it should be pretty smooth sailing. Alright, well, anyways, if you have not yet, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in. Alright, bye.